Do you like delicious food? Do you love increasing sales? Because I am excited to have Chelsea Martin, the co-owner of Noms Bake Shop here. You might recognize the name from the last episode with her husband Trevor. They have such delicious cookies that you can use to increase your profits. And I don't know about you, but making more money and eating good food sounds good to me. And if you want some real fun, you can even check out the unboxing video where they were kind enough to send me one of their custom boxes, and I dove the heck into it, and it was phenomenal. But I want to dive right in. I'm going to bring her up right after we thank our sponsor, Chelsea Martin. How would you like to grow your wealth easier than you think with the change you probably don't notice anyhow automatically? That's why I started the compounding interest snowball investing with acorns and advise you do too. Get started simply and easily today at eainterviews.com/acorns. Here she is, ladies and gentlemen, the lovely Chelsea Martin. Chelsea, how are you feeling today?
I'm doing awesome. Thank you for having me.
I'm excited to learn your perspective on your company. It was great talking with your husband, Trevor, but I want to know a little bit more about your backstory and your perspective on it because you guys are up to some sweet things, if you will. Well, I did that. And I want to know, where did you get the idea from it?
Oh gosh. Well, my backstory is a little bit different, as you know, or as some of your listeners may have heard from Trevor, my husband. He grew up with these cookies in the household. His father, who was a retired computer programmer, or is one now, but at the time he would also, as kind of a side hobby, bake a lot. And they became well known in the neighborhoods and kind of in the community surrounding them as, the cookie man, I guess, the guy that brought the delicious cookies to the lacrosse practice or over the holidays to neighbors for the baskets or like holiday baskets and things like that. So Trevor, my husband, and his two sisters, Allison and Andy, they all grew up with these cookies around them. And I kind of make a joke about it because I think that they lived a little bit in cookie denial as far as how good these cookies are because they were so used to them. So they might have like a little bit of a cookie snob factor to them, but they didn't know how good they were. So, flash forward quite a bit later when my husband and I met, we were dating for a little bit and he went on a family vacation with me and his parents were kind enough to send a basket of baked goods and treats and everything along with us to give to my family. And they went nuts. I'm not sure how much Trevor gave you, but my family, or at least my parents, are entrepreneurs in the Valley in Phoenix and have been for several decades. So they are, I kind of make a joke that they're kind of like 1, 2, 6 as far as world domination. They go from A to Z real quick. And so they, had, I want to say seriously, a bite of one of the, treats. And they were like, you need to sell them. His dad needs to sell them. He needs to get out there and you need to be doing this. You can go sell somewhere in the valley or start a business. And that's just the way that they think. And it was very sweet at first, for lack of a better word. But we weren't necessarily ready to drag his father out of retirement quite yet. But they kept pushing about it. And Trevor came to a spot in his career where he did have a little bit more time now to devote to possibly building this out. So we sat down with his dad and kind of mapped out what this would look like. And it started very small, with him just selling in call centers in Phoenix, really just as kind of for fun, like once a week, going with a table with, cookies packaged and going to farmers markets and getting to get out of the house and chat with people. And then it grew a little bit to doing pre-ordering of holiday baskets and things like that. And as Trevor stepped in, he has a very entrepreneurial spirit about him. He is the same way where he goes in and he loves looking at businesses and he kind of has that just thing in his blood about wanting to build things and fix things. And so he stepped in with his father and started mapping out what it would look like to really scale this up. simultaneously we were outgrowing the home kitchen. And there's certain laws associated with that in regards to shipping if you're under cottage law. And so once we started to
Why don't you elaborate on that? Because I've heard of it, but I'm not sure everyone knows all about it. What's your limit? So if someone wants to start a business in food services, how far can you grow before you need to do something different?
Well, I think it's dependent on a couple of different factors, whether that's employee numbers, and I can't speak to that off the top of my head only because we actually still had a very small number of employees. But
That's
it
good.
is, yeah, and it was, I mean, we still are kind of small, but at the time it was really, 6 people, 5 people, because it was his father, him, his sister, me, and a couple of people.
And that's
So
the I want to touch on that too because a lot
yeah.
of people think I know in Metro Detroit with the big three car auto manufacturers, there's big buildings downtown, just like most major cities. But I remember when I started, I started a business. I started a business. And this is back in 2002, 2004, 5, 6, and 8. You know, everyone always goes, when did you start your business? I'm like, which time? But I went full time in '08, and, I was really excited. I went all in, and, I'm doing this. This is what I'm doing for the rest of my life. And they're like, well, where's your building at? And business is not a building and it's not a number of employees. I know more and more businesses doing serious revenue and I'd be hard pressed to say 5 or 10 employees, and they're the most
Mhm.
profitable. Depending on the industry, if you have a restaurant, it's different, but you don't need 50 to 100 employees just to pull off what you're looking to do anymore.
You
So
really don't. And
good for
I
you for
think,
staying keeping it the way it is. That's awesome. It's actually better.
well, thank you. I think it's a very interesting comment too that you make because as we've grown, and I will kind of circle back to that, but as we grew into a commercial kitchen and things like that, we did start to get more of that. It's for, I don't know, it's, I guess, validation for lack of a better word, but really it was more like people saw that we had a kitchen and they're like, wow, you're doing amazing. And really on the business owner side, and it's not to say we're not doing amazing, but on the business owner side, we're seeing how much room we have that we need to grow or where we need to go from here. There, we're seeing all the things that we need to do. And a lot of people see a building and they're like, you made it, you're in the big time now. And so it is
And
very
you're
interesting.
going, we just went from a XYZ profit margin to a less of one because now there's this new expense.
Exactly. That is exactly what's happening with us behind the scenes. We're like, okay, this is actually quite a big iceberg or whatever, and a lot of people are really seeing that almost as you've made it. Whereas really, a lot of things that I've, learned in this because Trevor, like I said, he is in his blood, he's an entrepreneur. I was not. In my blood, I was not an entrepreneur. And
Really,
so
even with your parents being so, he had mentioned they're in the cruise industry.
yes, they had started a company that partnered with a lot of cruise lines, and this was in the late '90s. And so they ended up really working in the travel industry and partnering with travel companies to provide memberships or loyalty programs for various companies. But they, ironically, with the cruise industry, they're based in Phoenix, Arizona, so it's kind of funny. But they, I think growing up, I had this idea that to be a business owner, you almost had to invent something because in my eyes, they had invented a business model or a membership or this unique, innovative way to partner with cruise lines that hadn't been done before. And in my head, you had to do something that hadn't been done before. And so I guess I had wrapped my brain around that in a way that it was an invention or a thing that was just completely new. And I wasn't really interested in that. I just never saw myself as an entrepreneur looking for the next thing or the next business I was going to start. I might have seen myself more as a professional or an independent professional, but not necessarily building or owning a business. And so it's a very interesting dynamic because I'm like a perpetual student, much to my parents' dismay. I was in college way too long. But I love checking things off a
I
list.
bet I can top you.
Okay, well, that would make me feel better. But I love knocking things off a list and completing it. And there's not really that list that doesn't really exist the same way. You have to make your own list as an entrepreneur. And that is a little bit that was a little bit terrifying for me. Flash forward now, I cannot see my life any different in regards to I can't see myself working for someone. I can't see myself not working with my husband, and I can't see myself not wanting to build something. So it's funny because I just didn't have that in me. He taught me a lot of that, and I learned a lot from him. And then I also pull the reins back on him every once in a while too. So it's kind of funny, but yeah, I mean, it is interesting that I am in a weird way following in my parents' footsteps in regards to they are married and built something together. My husband and I are married and built something together, even though that's not necessarily the path I saw.
Well, it's great that you're doing it and that you can do it together. And that's one of the things I noticed about business early on is like it's something you can put your heart, soul, time, energy, and money and have the rest of your life. Now, some people argue you want to make an exit and you want to build it to sell it, but the reality is you do because you want the business to be at a level that it's sellable, but you doesn't mean you have to sell it. It just means you structured it in a way where it's desirable by someone other than you. When you're the linchpin, you don't have a business, it's you. You can be self-employed, you're an entrepreneur, you're entrepreneurial, but you can't sell it. And that's a big issue that a lot of people have. When you're taking an asset, even where you have it right now, I have no doubt with the systems, and I got to ask you about the packaging, but with the systems and stuff you already have in place and the packaging and all this stuff, if you wanted to, it's already desirable. It doesn't require you or Trevor to be doing any. It doesn't fall only on the two of you. You could tell everyone all the secrets, the whole process, and someone could take it over. That's where most people don't get their business because they do whatever. And I don't want to pigeonhole any industries, but I'll pigeonhole one, web design, because it's where I started with. And it's what also led me to want to develop my own software to that point of being an inventor. I was still entrepreneurial, but, I wanted to invent. I didn't want to invent things. Well, there's actually a lot of ideas I've had. It's just that when I see a problem, I automatically create solutions. But the web design, there's so many people say I'm a web designer, but the whole business falls on them. And when I'm coaching people, you have to reframe to I'm the CEO of a web design company, which means you could have 10 or 20 other people doing the web design, whether you're doing it or not. There's a big difference there.
Right.
And I think a lot of people confuse entrepreneurial with self-employed. And there's people like, have you ever thought simple question. Have you ever thought about starting your own business? Oh, I don't want to run a corporation. I never ever asked you if you want to run a corporation. I asked if you want to start your own business. You complain about your job every day. It seems logical. I didn't think that was too intimate of a question, if you will. It seems kind of common sense to me. So I've been on both sides of it too, and you're definitely in the right spot now. So what were you doing before, and what was the transition to the transition to go full throttle into this?
What I was doing before was not related to cookies in any way, shape, or form other than eating them. I actually, right before I met my husband, I lived in LA at the time. I just finished grad school, and I had gone to grad school for a couple years, and I had a vast array of careers. From obviously being a student, I also worked at the coroner's office on cases, which is not related to cookies in any way. And I also ended up shifting and moving into teaching. One of the things that I really love is writing, and one of my degrees is in English and writing. So I ended up getting a master's in education and teaching a little bit. And I met my husband while I lived in LA. So I actually ended up moving back to Phoenix, and kind of dropping everything there. Well, not dropping any students, don't worry, it was in the summer. But I ended up moving back to Phoenix. And so when I did move back, I moved back into a marketing role in corporate marketing, which was at my parents' company. And that was something I was very familiar with. My mother heads up most of the marketing, or headed up most of the marketing in their company. So I learned a lot from her in general, under kind of just her being my mom. And then I had worked part-time on and off throughout college with her. And so I just kind of shifted into that role temporarily. And as Noms started to grow, they ended up having a need for just another person. So we had kind of a come to Jesus meeting, and Trevor said, I think we need you. And that was a big moment for me, because even though it sounds kind of silly, because you're ultimately at the end of the day working for your parents, it was a moment of, wow, I'm about to kind of, it felt like walking the plank a little bit, where you were like, I'm about to walk away from this very familiar role. And to be
It was
honest,
safe and
easy.
secure.
Yeah. And it's a paycheck that is coming every week as long as I do the thing. And then I'm going into nothing, and it's not written, and there's no list. They're like, figure it out, And so that was exciting, but really, really terrifying for me. So I did have quite a bit of a strange background getting here, but ultimately it's still marketing. And I was really excited because it is something that is fun and resonates with me. It's really cool to be part of a family company, different family company, but still my family, family company, and building something together. And then ultimately marketing, it is different, between companies, but it's about a human connection, and it's about, finding your target audience and really trying to connect and make a message resonate with them, or find a solution to their problem. And that's what we're doing. It's just with a new company, and this time it's, mine. So it's very exciting.
Excellent. Well, I appreciate you for sharing that. We're going to thank our sponsor real quick and come back for more. How would you like to grow your wealth easier than you think with the change you probably don't notice anyhow automatically? That's why I started the Compounding Interest Snowball Investing with Acorns, and advise you do too. Get started simply and easily today at eainterviews.com/acorns. So, Chelsea, tell me about the naming. How did you pick the name for your bake shop?
Okay. Have you heard this story before? I
I
don't
have
know.
not.
Okay.
And there was a few questions I wanted to make sure I asked. One of them was about the packaging, and one of them was about the name, because I know it's Noms Bake Shop, but when you get the package, and everyone listening, you should, it says something else LLC.
It does. Good catch. Okay. So I thought maybe somebody prompted you on that. It is
No, I
well, to
literally
us,
was eating all of them, and I was like, question to ask Chelsea.
well, okay. So, like I had said before, this was kind of just um, originally, this was not, I say this, it sounds strange to say it this way, like we were trying to get his father out of the house, but really this was kind of side project originally, to just have Trevor's father kind of go and sell cookies, small kind of side project type of thing. And we still needed an LLC to do that. And I just remember at the time I still worked at a different company, and Trevor had sent me a text message, and he said, we just had to come up with something right then. And it was that moment. And he said, what if we do namaste? And he said, but we spell it NOM, like the Cookie Monster, like nom, 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 like a play
Yes.
on words. And I was like, cool, cute. I'm running to a meeting. Bye. And that was it. Had I known where we would be years later, I would have maybe given that just like a little bit more thought before saying cool, cute, let's go. Because
Would you have still went to the meeting?
I might have pulled back on the meeting. Yeah, I don't know.
I
Well,
think it
okay, so
works. It really does. But when I saw it, um, I shared some with my sister and brother-in-law, and I was telling some other people. And my sister has been a fitness instructor, and she's done a lot of stuff in the health and wellness space. And so part of me was like, I got to kick up sales here to sell her on a cookie, but these things are epic. She has to try them. But then like I said, I was looking through it and I was like, she'd appreciate this too. So I actually used it. And so thanks for that. And I know you have a similarity in that regard, but I had a feeling that's what it was, a play on words. He didn't say anything. It was
yeah.
after the fact, eating all of them.
Well, the only reason I make that joke is that we got so many people that just either they mispronounced it because they were calling it no mast, no masty. I don't know, that NO was really getting them. And then they thought we misspelled namaste. So that was also a problem, especially somebody that English is a big part of her life. It was a little bit challenging to have to think that people thought we couldn't spell. And then the final thing is they did think we were healthy. And I mean, our cookies are good. I'm just not sure if they're healthy. So we would get a lot of inquiries from yoga studios or
Okay.
different gluten-free. And we do have a couple like dietary restrictive cookies like gluten-free or vegan.
Have you
But
ever considered putting protein in them? Because I've heard of protein cookies before, but
yeah.
are you even trying to do any of that? Or are you strictly staying in the direct mail and gift market?
So when we first did start, that was a huge passion for me, as I really, really wanted to do that. But as we started to grow, I think a big goal for us is let's do one thing and let's do it really well and
Yeah.
let's lock this in and then let's start to explore some other things. And so for me, I think a protein line or a protein cookie line would be amazing. And I know I have all the faith in the world with this team that they could make an amazing protein cookie that would just like blow the other ones out of the water. But I think just in an effort to really make our brand really strong and well known and just keep it very cohesive and streamlined, we have kind of tabled that for now. But eventually, maybe one day we'll circle back because that's definitely something I think would be really great.
So if someone has never done direct mail, or they've only done postcards in direct mail, or they've never done any type of marketing with food, why do you think they should, and how much more effective would you say it is?
So I think direct mail is very interesting because I think just like anything else, like fashion, even our world goes in waves and it kind of, cycles back to these things that used to be, archaic. So I think at some point, email marketing became the thing. But I don't know if you're anything like me. I know with my work email, I try to keep it as sacred as possible, but my personal email currently right now has 10,000 emails that are unread in it that are, I don't want to say junk because technically I either opted in, I bought something from those people or, but it's all email marketing solicitation. It's some kind of meeting request. It's something, they're trying to get you. And we've all played with like the email subject lines, what to do, what not to do, things like that. But ultimately, at the end of the day, it's really challenging to cut through the noise when you are prospecting. I'm not talking necessarily reaching out to clients that you've already established, but if you're trying to get the attention of somebody that's completely new, that's never heard of your company or you necessarily, and you just want to have a meeting or a call, I mean, a subject line can only go so far, and everybody sees through these things now. We all know when it's automated. We all can kind of read the cadence or the opener that says, I was told to reach out to you about this, and they
No, you
try.
weren't.
Yeah, exactly.
Or,
Who
or,
told
or
you to?
the
Your boss told you to.
RE colons, I think they are, the
Yes.
reply. And
Yes.
I'm like,
Hmm.
I was doing a lot last week. It was super productive and profitable, but this
I never
doesn't
sent
ring a
you that.
bell. What am I replying to? And I look and you can
Right.
tell, they got my attention with the subject line, but you open it and it's like name does not compute, and you could tell it's a template.
Yes.
I'm like, good for them for taking a class in email marketing subject headlines, but you
Right.
lost it at, you didn't have me at hello.
Right. And I think the other challenge with that is, when I see something like that, I don't feel necessarily duped, but I don't feel like
Excited to
I'm
talk to them.
special. Yeah, I feel like I got entered into some sort of automation that's tons of different people, so it doesn't really matter who's reading this, and it doesn't matter if it gets ignored.
Or
And I
what about the
think
real cards on the holidays, like Christmas and stuff? It's like, oh my gosh, I got one, or a birthday, and it's like, oh, it's the guy from the vendor show a year and a half. Cool. So no one sent me anything. Cool.
right?
Awesome. Thanks.
Oh, I know. I need a better social life because I think I just get the holiday card from my dentist right now. But I think, but the point is with direct mail, it does get your attention. And I think it does, even if you are prospecting, even if you are trying to get more clients, it is so much more special because it lands on their desk, it's in front of them. And yes, you could send, a postcard that's salesy or something like that, and it can get tossed, but it is going to, for a second, be in their hands. With us, our goal is to elevate that to another level. And that's where I do think gourmet gifting comes into play, because if you get a box of cookies on your desk and it has your name on it, and it has a note from this person that says it would be great to connect with you. Can we set up a time for a chat or something? Or even using the cookies and saying, let's have a call over cookies, something just fun. It's just different and refreshing. And it's really hard to not feel a little bit special that somebody did take that extra step in the time out of their day specifically to address these to you and have them shipped directly to you, just to try to have a conversation with you. And that's just speaking on prospecting. Of course, there's all these other things like, client appreciation or the holidays or special events during the year for your clients, or, there's just so many options for gifting, and direct mail, I do feel, is making a comeback because of that. So, and right now more than ever, everyone is trying to find new ways to connect because we can't connect in person.
I have to agree about the direct mail. It is so much of a better way to connect. And I've told all my authors, one of the greatest things about doing a business book, it's physical. You can send it to them. It's not a postcard. It's not a thing. Now, when you send them that with some food and a handwritten note, or one of the things I say is take a Sharpie inside of the book with your cell number for prospecting, phenomenal. But for a client, it's that touch point. It's that follow-up. It's that, how do you keep the relationship going at a high level?
Right.
And, I want to ask you, how many people have you noticed not only enjoyed your cookies, but also were telling other people about it, and you're seeing referrals?
Oh, yeah. Well, I think, so we've definitely had referrals from clients that have experienced our cookies and used us for maybe prospecting, and they'll email me and they'll circle another person and say, hey, this is so and so, I just want to introduce you to, because they're looking to do something like what I'm doing, or they're introducing me to the person saying, this is the company we use for prospecting. And it always makes me feel extremely happy because, of course, it's very rewarding to hear that people do find value in your products. I think the biggest referral, not program, but biggest referral like thing that we're seeing is when people are receiving our cookies as a gift. So it's like, this like box right here, it says Noms, right? Normally, most people send this with their logo to somebody. And so they'll say, it would be great to connect with you, or, thanks so much for meeting with me, please enjoy these treats or something. And it has their logo on this box. That person is like, where do I get that? Or how do I do this? This is a really cool gift idea. And so that's where a lot of our referrals come from, are people that have actually received the gift. And again, just like any other referral, it is really rewarding to see, because that means the other thing, and not to get too much in the weeds, the other thing about gift giving is the person buying the gift is not on the receiving end of the gift. So it's very satisfying when the recipient of the gift likes it as much as the person that bought it online with those beautiful photos. That means it's arriving, in the quality that we want it to arrive. Because I don't know, there are definitely some instances that we have received, food or things that don't arrive as beautiful as you would like. And that's why the packaging and that whole experience is really important, because your recipients don't often you don't often see how the gift arrives. And it's really important to us that it arrives beautiful for your recipient so that you look good. And of course, obviously we want to look good too, but it's most important that they have this really great experience with it because it is connected to you. So
I can attest to that, because when I opened mine, and I had fun shooting the unboxing video because they were delicious. And the revelation I had, I was like, okay, I'm going to cut this short because I'm going to enjoy eating these. And then I don't need to turn the camera off to enjoy them. And I did, but what was cool is you had my logo on the top of it and everything. And I knew you customized it for me.
mm-hmm.
And not only could you do a custom logo, but you could also, I mean, if you were prospecting someone, you could even send it to say, how cool would it be to have your prospect's logo on the top and engrave that message on the top?
Yes.
I mean, that's like hook, line, and sinker.
Right. Yeah. We've done some. So like for some of our clients, they send boxes with their logo, and it's amazing because people repurpose them. They use them, for
Oh, it's a beautiful box. You absolutely can.
Yeah. But the other great thing is it leaves a huge impact if you also are trying to get somebody's attention, if you send them something with their logo on it or their name, because people love seeing their logo as well. So, there are so many different ways that you can customize our gifts. And like you said, we have lasers in-house. We do all of our customization in-house. And that means that whether it's one box or 1,000 boxes, they can all have different names on them with the same logo. They can have the same picture on all. It can be modified however you want, and it's easy to do and very quick. So that's, a big part of our gift giving, is that we want it to stand out. We want it to be seamless and, not excruciating, where you have to order it 3 weeks in advance to get customization, or there's, that kind of lead time. We want you to be able to have a meeting with somebody and have a really great, meeting, and then want to send them kind of a follow-up that says, hey, it was amazing meeting you. And that arrives 2 days later instead of, 2 weeks later.
Yeah, I will say again, I was impressed with, I mean, I saw the email. It's like, hey, we want to send you a gift. And I just quick shot back my address and thought, they're going to send something like a lot of people do. Hey, loved being on the show, or love watching the show, listening, whatever. The next day it was here. I'm like, okay, how did they do this? And I have to ask you, do you have multiple facilities around the country, or do you just literally have everything from Arizona and overnight it?
Right now it's just from Arizona. We don't overnight everything. Sometimes we'll overnight some, but we do use our carrier is 1 to 3 business days. So depending on how close you are,
it's still super quick for a wide range, because I was like, there's no way. And I was like checking timestamps on the email. I'm like, okay, well, I go, this thing had to have been sent in the middle of the night and to even make it on the thing. And I'm just trying to figure this out. And
these are trade secrets. We can't tell you which carrier pigeon we used, but it's a fast one.
Well, it's impressive. And I think I'll be able to get one answer with you with the wheel of whatever that I'll ask you, because I'm going to save it for that. So, thank you for sharing what you have. We're going to jump to the wheel of whatever and come back with the imperfect action round. But I know exactly what I want to ask you, because it has to do with the cover of it. And the question for you is, how the heck do you do those lasers?
How do we do them?
Yeah, I know you said you have laser engraving machines, but I mean, it was really impressive. It was like, you're not sending that stuff out, and it clearly didn't take a week to do.
No,
is there limitations to what you can do with it, or?
Yes and no. I think so. Just like anything, you kind of start to improve and adapt from it. So when we first got one laser we got one laser machine because my husband, he had such a great vision for this as far as saying, I don't want to outsource this. I want this to be as quick as
Smart.
possible because that is valuable to people. And that
Absolutely.
was our goal. And so he was really great about going out and saying, okay, I think it's important we have a laser, which I think is every man's dream to say. But and so he, pushed for this laser, and we got this laser in-house. And so we started to learn it. We have a designer on staff, and she's kind of, messed with all of the settings and really became the master of the laser. Um, and so in doing that, obviously you start to learn different settings and ways to improve the etching, or now we have, logos that people have that have kind of a gradient of color in it, and we've
Ooh.
learned how to, etch deeper and deeper into the wood so that it still reflects that, because a lot of people don't think about, color being, transposed onto wood is going to be kind of a black or white situation. But with, the depth of the laser going in, it can actually cause like a gradient in and really add that depth of the color that would be in a logo. And so she's messed around with it a lot, but I will tell you, he got that one laser in, and we went from, maybe 5% or something of our boxes being wood boxes to I would say it might even be more than half and half. I can't tell you off the top of my head, but
Wow.
it is insane how many people, to the point where our first holiday season with the laser machine, we took turns pulling all-nighters because we could not physically have enough time to fulfill all the orders, because we had that laser machine going 24/7, and so somebody had to sleep there to take the lids off and put lids back on. So the next year, we got 5 more, and so now we have lots of lasers. And just over the years, with that comes learning new software and technology. And so now, as far as limitations, to me, um, I don't think we have some, but I'm sure that the challenge will be accepted. Right now, we can even laser photographs. So if you sent me a photograph of your dog, it can be lasered on there, just, in kind of that sepia tone or whatever, because it's on wood.
Oh, that
But
would look epic. You're
yeah,
right,
so
because the old-fashioned looking photos are that brownish color to begin
mhm.
with. That would look real cool.
It's really cool. So I mean, they keep surprising me every time. So they're definitely always working to see, what new things we can do. And then of course there's other things like people do. You mentioned doing another logo or somebody else's logo. We have some people that reach out wanting to laser both sides of the lid because maybe they want to put a message or
Oh.
something, but then they also think, okay, well, for display, they might want to use the other side with their logo or so, just something like that. So there's a lot of different ways people have tried to like customize the gifts and make them their own.
Have you ever considered different types of wood for the boxes?
Yes. When we first, there was all a lot of trial and error. So the first time we got these, actually the lids that we had for our boxes wouldn't etch properly. It was not working, whatever the mix of the wood was, which that would be our facilities department. He is the master of knowing all of the materials, but it was not etching. So we actually had to go back to the drawing board, get completely new. I'm tapping on this like as if you can see it, but going back to the drawing board and getting completely new lids made just for those boxes just because of that. So we definitely learned the long way or the hard way a couple times, but we got there.
Yeah, it looks phenomenal, and I was blown away with the whole aspect. I mean, they're delicious, but I didn't even know that. But it was like prompt, quick, same thing. It was super fast. The lid looked awesome. They were delicious, and then, I'm not going to give everything away. I want everyone to try them, but I was just blown away because I've done gifting and I've received gifting, and it's pretty normal for business, truthfully. Um,
Hmm.
but it was just like, this is impressive. I could tell you took it to a different level. So, um,
Well, thank
nice
you. Yeah,
job.
I think and that's the goal. That means a lot to us because I think, like you said, gifting is normal. It happens in business, whether that's just the holidays or, gifting is part of business. I think it's really cool when people do understand the value of gifting because sometimes you have to educate people on that, and that might not be new. They're used, or that might be a completely new ball game for them. They're used to kind of just doing holiday gifting. But even for the holidays, gifting is normal. The challenge is when you're a company and you have 45 people or 45 different companies that you want to send gifts to, what happens is, you often end up sending something fairly impersonal. It's the same thing to everyone.
Because you need a
And
lot of them. It's
right.
not
And
one or two. It's like, oh, I got, it's kind of counterintuitive because you go, oh, I got hundreds of customers or hundreds of clients or hundreds of whatever, or
Mhm.
thousands or tens of thousands, and it's like, what can I get that fits in the budget that we can do this whole thing? And it's
Right.
kind of counterproductive. You're almost better not doing anything if you're going to do it sloppy.
You don't wanna do something that I mean, I don't think anyone would receive a gift basket and say, "Wow, like, they could have done better." I don't think that they think that way. I do think everyone thinks it's a great gesture, but what happens is you're sending 45 gift baskets for the holidays and you're receiving 45 gifts, so we are still a gourmet gifting company, but we wanted to kind of just change it up a little bit, give you something different, and then also add that extra special touch of making it customizable so that you could put somebody's name on every single one. They can all be different. And that person thinks, wow, I got delicious cookies, but so I'm actually gonna eat them. It's not, necessarily the freeze-dried salmon, which if you like that, that's fine. But, but if you like cookies, that's also great. And then it comes in this box that I can either reuse or it says my name. Like they actually went out of their way to etch my name on it. I am important enough that this was that extra step. And, without giving away too much, it's not really that hard for the sender to do. That's our job, is to make it very easy, but it really does add that extra special, feeling of, they thought of me and went a little bit extra, like an extra step, than just sending the same fruit basket, over and over.
Yeah, the cookies are not a problem at all. I can attest to that. And we got to thank the sponsor. But I want to ask you your favorite flavor before we do.
Okay, so my favorite flavor is, I have to go with this, even though I have a million, is peanut butter and jelly. And that is because I worked really hard to get that cookie in our line. And my sister-in-law, she's the head of baking, and I think she listened to me say this so many times that finally, I had a special event a couple years ago, and to celebrate, she gave me a bunch of peanut butter and jelly cookies. And I think I ate so much, I actually think I had my first cookie blackout where I was like, "Where am I?" Because I was so excited. So it would be it would just be wrong to not say that's my favorite. But they're, just like anything, if it's breakfast, I might have a berry shortbread, and if it's dessert, I might have a chocolate crinkle. But peanut butter and jelly has a special
Those
place in my
chocolate
heart.
crinkle ones are crazy good.
They're so good.
I
And
don't.
it's
And for me, it's a tie because I dove into the berry shortbread because we were talking about it, and then I did the unboxing video, and the berry shortbread was just magic. And but I'll tell you, I think for me, it's a tie between the chocolate crinkle
mhm.
because those were
Those are the 2 I think I recommend for people that, when they're saying, "Okay, what should I try?" Because of course, we have the normal, classic flavors. We have a chocolate chip or an oatmeal raisin, but, what makes Noms Noms? And of course, in our logo itself is the berry shortbread cookie, because that's our flagship cookie, and I think it's like, an adult Pop-Tart or something. It has that same, or I think I'm
and
just
Trevor was mentioning it's not that hard shortbread either, and it's not.
right.
It's a soft one.
It's very buttery and soft. It's amazing. And I don't usually like fruit anywhere near my desserts or cookies, but this and the peanut butter and jelly and things like that, it's so good. It's balanced so well. That shortbread has this like almond, in it, and it's amazing. So it's hard to find a cookie I don't like, but that's the great part, is there's one for everyone, whether you're kind of the fruit and like the lemony side, or you like the peanut butter or chocolate side.
You got me thinking about all that stuff. Now we have to thank our sponsor, but they're very delicious, and you mentioned a few flavors I didn't get to try, so we'll have to talk about that too, because I'm sure those are good
Definitely.
as well. But we're going to thank our sponsor and come back for the imperfect action round. How would you like to grow your wealth easier than you think with the change you probably don't notice anyhow automatically? That's why I started the compounding interest snowball, investing with acorns, and advise you do too. Get started simply and easily today at eainterviews.com/acorns. And we are back with the imperfect action round. Chelsea, are you ready to take imperfect action?
As ready as I'll ever be.
60-second rapid fire answers. First question, what is the most... Nope. What is the path to the profits? Oh, what is the fastest? That's it. What is the fastest path to the profits?
Giving. I think giving and not expecting things in return help yield a lot of relationships and connections and open a lot of doors to things that you wouldn't have imagined if you were just narrowly focused on yourself.
That is correct. You
Good.
pass. I'm teasing. There's no right or wrong answers. There's just the truth of you, but I agree. I wholeheartedly agree. Number 2, what is the biggest problem you see your prospects making and the fastest way for them to fix it?
The biggest problem, I think, is people trying to sell in their gift. I think, again, going back to giving and not expecting anything. Obviously, when you're prospecting, your goal is to meet people and make connections and set meetings and things like that. But when you come out of the gate and the person gets the cookies and they're very excited and they open it and they're like, let's have we are the best company in the world for your blank needs, please contact me now to set up a call to do this. I think people are already like, I don't want to engage with this because now I know I'm getting the hard sell. And so I think, the way to adjust that is just saying, hoping to sweeten your day, like let's connect soon or something like that, that just really is a little bit more reserved. And yeah.
I like that. I totally get what you mean with we need to connect now. Can I at least enjoy the treat first?
Right.
And you don't want to feel guilty for it too. Like, wow, this is incredible. But if I take it now, am I complicit? I don't know.
Yeah. Exactly.
Number 3, what is the best way to maximize customer lifetime value?
I think for us, at least I've felt that it's being authentic. It is being personable and really being there for your clients, including if there are mistakes. And I like to say that we don't make mistakes, but I think any company with a lot of clients, sometimes, there are hiccups along the way. And I think that I've found a lot of times with our clients, if there's any sort of mistake or a delay, for instance, in delivery, reaching out to them and saying, hey, here's what's going on, here are solutions, or just owning it, I think is really important. And I think a lot of people try to almost sweep that under the rug and pretend like you don't make mistakes. But I think owning that and being accountable, it brings that human element to your customer saying, we care about you, we're going to make this right. Yeah, and I think that helps provide lifetime value than being kind of that corporate machine. So I think when our customers, when they call, there are times that I've answered the phone that they're like, I didn't know you were going to answer. And I know that they don't realize that we're a small company because we put on an air that, because we are capable of fulfilling a tremendous amount of orders, but we are still a small family-owned company. And I think that really works in our favor because we still do have that human element. And when you call, I might answer and you might just talk to me or you might talk to another one of our team members, but we're all here and we're all just hands in, ready to help.
That's great because you're making it happen. And like I was saying earlier, people don't get it. You don't need 500 people in a call center just to be successful. And,
right.
It freaks people out. Hiccups will happen, but I just got to say this. When you said hiccups, I was like, well, a spoonful of sugar helps the medicine go down.
Exactly.
All right. So some books. What books have helped you on your journey?
Okay. So one of the books, I don't know if this would even resonate, but one of the books that
just
I think...
honesty. That's all I ever ask. That's the only requirement I have for guests.
I read a book called Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert. I don't know if you've read it, but it is a lot about creativity, which I think for me why it resonated so much was it talked a lot about fear getting in the way of you actually taking action with things. And, coming from a place where I was saying that I am not naturally just an entrepreneur or at least, it didn't feel like I was hardwired that way. A lot of times I would find myself saying, what are all the reasons that something couldn't work? And I think that that is important to think of when you're filming or you're making a game plan. But I sometimes would let fear stop me. And that book was really powerful in explaining how fear can actually live inside you, but still you can accept it and acknowledge you have it and then move forward with it. And that has helped me a lot with growth and in business tremendously because it's also new and it feels like sometimes you'll look at another company or another person or another business owner and be like, wow, you have it all together. And it just seems like, do I not have it together? Or, and I think I started to learn through that too, that it's okay to say, I'm not sure. As long as I'm working towards my goal and as long as I'm honest with myself, authentic with people, I'm only going to grow from there, even if you're, fearful. But that book really helped me kind of navigate that and accept that.
Excellent. Well, I have heard of it. I haven't read it yet, but I appreciate the recommendation. Where would you like people to learn more?
So our website is getnoms.com. That's GETN as in Nancy, OM as in Mary, S.com. So not mother, not get moms, but getnoms.com is our website. That's where you can go and kind of see all of our products. You can even customize gift boxes for yourself, drop your logo on there, things like that. We're also on Instagram and Facebook. Our Instagram is this same as our URL. So just at getnoms. And there you can kind of find some more behind the scenes footage, some meet the team posts, things like that, and kind of interact with us on a day-to-day basis.
Well, I appreciate you for sharing. It has been a pleasure, and thank you for giving us the other side of the story. It was great with Trevor, but loving what you're doing with the company and the people you're helping, and congrats on your success.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me. It was really fun.
Well, Expert Authority World, we have another great episode here today. I'll see you tomorrow. Have a great day. God bless.